Good Monday morning. Here we are for our Monday morning meetup. Last week, we talked a little bit about how to hack a habit, or I recently did. I did some posts on Kaizen. It's one thing to talk about habits of good living and the things that you need to do. It is an entirely different thing to actually do them. So one of the things that we work really hard with, that we help each other out with in the Abundant Living Life Transformation course group, is actually doing things so that they have power in your life and you have power in your life. So taking small steps, using a word, I like words. Kaizen is a nice word for baby steps. If you remember What About Bob? Doing things little bits at a time. And there's a number of reasons for doing that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Another one that we do, but I just got a phrase for it recently, is focusing on the gains over the gaps. There's a lot of reasons for doing this. And I was working on this. I've been doing a course with Dr. Benjamin Hardy recently. And he has been talking a lot about projecting out 3 years to your future self 3 years from now. What does that person eat? What do they wear? How do they think? What are their habits? Oh my word. So to think forward, I went back and I thought, okay, so I'm who I am now. Who was I 3 years ago? Because you're always changing. You're constantly changing. You're not going to be, I guarantee it, unless you just live by default, but I still guarantee you're not going to be the same person in 3 years that you are right now. So 3 years ago, I was not a person who prioritized my self-care. I was taking care of everybody else first and saying, well, someday I'll take care of it. Someday I'll do that. Someday I'll whatever. I had given up my own voice a lot because of various things that had happened with the farm and with things. So I wasn't communicating myself very much at all. We were eating good foods, but life was going by kind of relatively haphazard. There wasn't a lot of rhythm to it. It was pretty chaotic 3 years ago. That's where I was at. That was myself. Now I'm in a place where I do prioritize my self-care with small daily habits. I do have a voice. Yeah, we're talking right now, right? And I do talk about what's important to me. This was all a culmination of decisions that have been made along the way. So now I thought, okay, when I understand how far I've come, I can start to look at how far I might possibly go. And it perks that imagination for what the possibilities are. But it's by looking back at the gains that I've made, where I've come from, and what's gone on. So focusing on the gains instead of the gap between where you want to be, who you want to be, what your goals are, how much weight you want to lose. Well, have you lost any weight? If you've lost a pound or two in the last month, yay, you're on the right track and you're going to get there. A lot of times, what has gotten you to this point isn't going to get you to the next point. That was one of the things that came out of my imagination time and visualizing back and then forward. Was I realized that the things that had gotten me to this point right now over the last 3 years, they're good things. They had gotten me from one point to another, but they also aren't going to get me into that next stage of possibility. When I imagine who I want to be and all of the things that woman does and is, there are things that I need to let go of now because she doesn't do them. They aren't going to serve her in the future. So there's things that happen when you focus on where you've been to this point that help you figure out how you can get to the next point. when you realize, oh, all these things help me drop these pounds, but now you're stuck, you're plateaued. Well, you're going to have to change something in order to hit the next level. I'm sleeping better now, but what do I need to do? How do I need to tweak my daily habits so that I can start to sleep all the way through the night, well rested, have all the energy I want? When you have a clearer long-term vision, it'll help you make better decisions now. Because when you can see who that person is out there, you realize, oh, this is what I need to be doing now. This is how that person acts. So right now, I'll make this decision. I found that gives a lot of clarity to just the small little things that, oh, I shouldn't be doing that, but it doesn't matter. When you have a clear long-term vision, you realize, oh, that does matter. Well, okay, it's not as big a deal. You can make better decisions right now. We're talking about building small daily habits that get you to where you want to go. Has to do with creating rhythmic eating habits, because when you eat matters as much as what you eat. It truly does. When you sleep matters more so than how long you sleep. If you get 8 hours from 2 a.m. to, what would that be, 10 in the morning, it's going to feel way different, and you're going to have a whole different effect in your body than if you get to bed at 10 and get up at 6. Entirely different effect. Rhythmic eating, rhythmic sleeping, getting rhythmic movement into your day. I find that as I'm moving about the house, I can take enough steps to walk about 5 miles, but I feel like I've gone nowhere. There's no rhythm to it, no rhyme. All of these things give you small successes that build momentum. So that's where focusing on the gains gives you small successes that build momentum to help you get to that next step, get to where you're wanting to go. Are you feeling stuck? How are you doing on those New Year's resolutions? Go back. Small steps. Break it down a little bit further if you need to. Focus on where you were to where you are, the gains, and that will help you get unstuck and build momentum towards where you want to go, what you want to do, the small habits that you're building into your life, the small changes that you're making. If you said, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to start walking, and I know this summer I'm going to be walking 5 miles a day. You're not going to start walking even 2.5 miles now if you're not walking at all. So you start with 1/4 mile a day, and then 1/2 mile, and just stretch it slowly, and keep tabs on how far you're going. When you tabulate things, it helps reinforce it to your brain. So keeping track of where you've been to now, the gains. That's your big tip for this week. Emerson said, do the thing and you will have the power. So if you're not actually doing it, it's just a goal out there that's kind of nebulous. It's not going to happen. Not going to have the power. So break it down. Focus on how it's succeeding. How are you working? Rather than how it's not working or how much further you have to go. The gains, not the gaps. We're going to talk. I'm going to be doing a talk next Tuesday night about, I gotta even remind myself, having to do with adrenal fatigue and the clock. So going back to those rhythmic habits and the clock, because the clock has way more to do with your health than what you would think. Rhythm is everything to establishing balance back into your system so that your adrenal system isn't fatigued. You can get rid of some of that inflammation and all the things that go with inflamed thinking, inflammation in your body, all of that. So, got questions? Comment on the video or message me, because I'm happy to answer questions, and it helps me know what you all are wanting to know more about. Watch 2 for the sign up for that call. I do them on Zoom so we can interact and talk, because I don't like to talk a whole lot. I like to get you thinking and talking and hear what you have to say. So that's what we're going to do. Have a great and abundant week.